He trusted her with his home. He trusted her with his child. But one day, he walked into his own bedroom and saw something that stopped his heart. Not a stranger, not a thief, but his own wife, with the man he had brought into his life. And within minutes, someone in that room would be dead. In the early 1900s, in a quiet farming town somewhere in the American Midwest, life moved slowly. Endless fields of wheat swayed under the golden sun, wooden houses stood miles apart, and the nights were filled with nothing but silence and the sound of the wind brushing through the land. In one such farmhouse lived a man named Thomas, his wife Eleanor, and their infant child. Thomas was a respected farmer, strong, disciplined, and known across the county for owning vast stretches of fertile land. Dozens of workers depended on him. From sunrise to sunset, he worked tirelessly, building a life not just for himself, but for his family. Eleanor, his wife, was the heart of their home. She was known for her beauty, soft features, kind eyes, and a presence that made anyone feel at ease. She took care of the house, raised their baby, and waited patiently every evening for Thomas to return from the fields. Their marriage seemed perfect, filled with love, trust, and quiet happiness. But sometimes it is silence that hides the loudest storms. One afternoon, Thomas had traveled to a nearby town for supplies. While there, he met a man named Victor. Victor was new to the area, dressed in worn clothes, but carrying himself with an unusual confidence. During their conversation, Thomas learned that Victor was searching for work. "I can do anything," Victor said. "I just need a chance." Thomas studied him for a moment, then nodded. "Come with me. I've got land that needs tending." And just like that, Victor entered their lives. Back at the farm, Victor quickly proved his worth. He worked hard, followed instructions, and never complained. But it wasn't just his work ethic that stood out. Victor had a presence, calm, mysterious, and undeniably charming. It didn't go unnoticed. A few weeks later, Thomas invited Victor to dinner. That evening, as Eleanor opened the door and saw Victor for the first time, something shifted within her. It was subtle, a feeling she couldn't quite explain. During dinner, she remained polite, quiet, and composed, but her eyes occasionally drifted toward him. Victor noticed, and though he said nothing, he understood. Days turned into weeks. Eleanor began to notice Victor more often. From the kitchen window, she would watch the workers in the fields, but her gaze always found him. There was something different about him, something that made her heart beat just a little faster. Victor, too, became aware of her attention. Their interactions grew slightly longer, their words a little softer, their silence heavier. And Thomas remained completely unaware. Then came the night that changed everything. A fire broke out on the farm. It spread quickly, consuming a section of the storage barns, and with it the small quarters where some workers stayed. Victor's place was gone. With nowhere else to go, Thomas didn't hesitate. "You'll stay with us," he said. "There's space in the basement." It was an act of kindness, one that would cost him everything. From that moment on, Victor was no longer just a worker. He was inside their home, every day, every night. Dinners became a routine. The three of them sat together under the dim glow of oil lamps, sharing meals and conversations. Thomas spoke of the farm. Victor listened. Eleanor watched. The tension between her and Victor slowly grew, unspoken yet undeniable. A glance that lingered too long, a silence that said too much, and a feeling that neither of them could ignore anymore. One evening, Thomas had to stay overnight at the farm to handle urgent work. For the first time, Eleanor and Victor were alone in the house. Dinner was quiet, different. Afterward, Eleanor put the baby to sleep, her thoughts restless and heavy. Victor retreated to the basement, but neither of them could escape what had been building for weeks. The house was silent, until a small sound broke it. Eleanor stepped into the kitchen and found Victor there, pouring himself a glass of water. For a moment, they simply looked at each other. No words, just a silence filled with everything they had been holding back. And in that moment, a line was crossed. By morning, everything appeared normal. Thomas returned home, unaware of the betrayal that had taken place under his own roof. But that night wasn't the end. It was only the beginning. From then on, whenever Thomas had to leave town, Eleanor and Victor found themselves drawn together. What started as a moment of weakness turned into something deeper, something dangerous. They began to create opportunities, subtly encouraging Thomas to travel, finding reasons for him. The secret grew stronger and riskier, but secrets never stay hidden forever. One afternoon, while Thomas was away, Eleanor and Victor were once again lost in their forbidden connection. They didn't realize someone had come by the house, a woman from the farm. She saw everything, and she didn't keep it to herself. When Thomas returned, she told him what she had witnessed. At first, he refused to believe it. His wife, the woman he trusted with his life. No, it couldn't be true, but doubt crept into his mind. And once doubt enters, it never truly leaves. Thomas decided he needed proof, so he made a plan. The next day, he told Eleanor he had to travel to town for a few hours. He packed his things, left the house, and rode away. But not far. A short distance down the road, he stopped, turned back, and quietly made his way home. The house was still, too still. Then he heard it, faint sounds coming from upstairs, from his bedroom. His heart pounded, his hands trembled, and slowly, he walked toward the door. What he saw shattered everything. Eleanor, Victor, together, in his bed. Rage consumed him. Without thinking, he burst into the room. The door slammed open. Both of them froze in shock. Eleanor clutched the bedsheet, her face pale. Victor stepped back, startled. And in that moment, the truth stood before Thomas. A violent fight broke out. Fury, betrayal, and desperation collided in seconds. Thomas attacked Victor with all his strength, but Victor fought back, harder, more viciously. And then, in one brutal moment, Victor grabbed an iron rod and struck. Thomas collapsed, lifeless. Silence filled the room, heavy, unforgiving. Eleanor stood frozen, her world collapsing around her. She hadn't imagined this. She hadn't wanted this. But it was too late. Victor turned to her. "We have to leave," he said. At first she hesitated, but fear is a powerful force, and in that moment, fear won. That night, Eleanor left her home, her past, her husband's body, everything. She took her baby and followed Victor into the darkness. Days later, Victor took them to an old, isolated house far from town. It was worn down, almost abandoned, unfamiliar, uncomfortable, but she had no choice. And then, one morning, he was gone. Victor had disappeared, without a word, without a trace. Eleanor was left alone, with her child, and the weight of everything she had done. In that empty, silent house, reality finally hit her. The love she once had, the life she destroyed, the man who trusted her more than anything, gone, because of her choices, and for the first time, she truly understood. Some mistakes don't just break lives, they end them, the end.